My name's Kurt. Thank you so much for being here. I'm your MC for today. This is our main stage with a series of in-person and virtual Q&As. Our next guest is here in person to join us. Please welcome Taylor Morden.
Hello.
Taylor is a musician and a filmmaker based in Eugene. And here in Klamath, we first got introduced to Taylor in 2019. Well, actually, 2018 with the short Tutu Grande. But then 2019, he made a documentary called Pick It Up, Ska in the 90s. A documentary about great music that if you don't know if you don't know much about ska music, you should find out. His film is the best way to do so. Then the next year, well, actually last year, Taylor got quite a bit of recognition all over the world because this gentleman is the one who made the documentary about the last Blockbuster video store in existence. The one over in Bend, he made a documentary about it. It ended up on Netflix. And how many news stories, how many countries did they cover?
All the countries.
Every country.
Every of the countries, yes.
Even Antarctica, they were talking about your Blockbuster film.
Especially Antarctica.
Well, to remind people about that, let's check out the trailer.
In a world where video stores have all but disappeared.
I mean, look at the James Bond section. Every James Bond movie. Every Avatar movie, because, there's just the one so far.
I hate late fees, but I understand that you have to do it. Otherwise, people just keep those videos. I know I did.
Meet Sandy, the Blockbuster mom.
So when I started in 2004, Blockbuster Video had roughly 9,000 stores and over 60,000 employees. And now...
Do I miss renting from a physical store? No, absolutely not. I don't think anybody does.
We just need Pacific Video to send us a notice that they are exercising their fourth and final renewal option. So yeah, that kind of scared me a little bit.
I mean, how long until companies don't even make DVDs, period? Then I don't know what.
Did you know that Blockbuster had a chance to buy Netflix, but they didn't?
Now that to me is crazy.
It is truly the last standing bastion of a bygone era.
Hey, that's cool. That the last Blockbuster in existence is right here in my hometown.
If there's some cats in Oregon still scratching it out, with Be Kind, Rewind, nothing wrong with that. That's beautiful.
So the last Blockbuster. And then before that, a fantastic documentary about ska music, which I know there's some people in here who are huge fans of ska music. I love ska. I know she loves ska right there. Hi, Olivia. Olivia there loves the specials. So let's talk a little bit how you got into filmmaking.
Sure, if I can talk through the delay.
Yeah.
I got into filmmaking through music. I used to play in bands and being very DIY, we would make our own music videos. And that just sort of kept expanding into commercials and weddings and real estate and then eventually documentaries, which is why I'm here.
Right. Well, we first got introduced to you because your films have been shown at the Klamath Independent Film Festival. And for the Lost Blockbuster film, even though it's gone all over the world via Netflix, it's only shown in what theaters?
It's only shown in one movie theater ever, and it was the Ross Ragland here in Klamath.
Here in Klamath is the only theater that his film has ever been shown in. Now, it was shown at some drive-throughs, right?
Drive-ins, drive-throughs where you get your tacos.
Drive-ins, yeah. Yeah. So music, you said that you got into filmmaking because do you volunteer for it or did you get voluntold to start making the music videos for the bands you were in?
I volunteered. Before I was really playing in bands, I was also the kid in high school with the big VHS camcorder on my shoulder, and I would make like the basketball highlight reel for the year. And I did the video yearbook, but this was in the 90s, and the camera used full-size VHS tapes, and I would edit those videos with 2 VCRs with a cassette deck plugged in so I could add music. So I always was interested, but then, you get in a band and they're like, oh, you used to make basketball highlight videos, you make the music video.
So at what point did you decide that maybe this should be a career path for you?
I still haven't quite decided. No, about 6 years ago, I had been living in Washington, D.C., and we moved back to Oregon. We moved to Bend, and all the commercial work I was doing dried up. And my lovely wife, who's manning the booth right now, she said, you can have 1 year to try and make movies, but if it doesn't work, you have to get a job. And I haven't had to get a job, so.
Career success, then?
Depends on how you define
exactly.
success.
So far. Hey,
So far.
So The Last Blockbuster is on Netflix, but your ska movie is also available. Where can people see that?
It's on Amazon. It's on Vimeo. And we have DVDs and Blu-rays over at the booth for both movies, and posters and cool Blockbuster stuff. And I really just came here to get people to go to my booth and buy my old Ninja Turtles. So buy my old Ninja Turtles.
So what made you want to make a movie about the history of ska music and the very last Blockbuster store?
The ska one, I love ska music. I played ska music. I'm a trumpet player, and it's what I've done for most of my life. My entire adult life, I've been in ska bands. So when I had made one movie before, and when I went to make the second movie, I posted on Facebook and just asked my friends, what should I make a movie about? And they were all like, ska, you idiot. What are you talking about? If you don't make this, who's going to make it, right? And Blockbuster, I literally just drove by it and saw it. And I was like, well, I'm a filmmaker. I can make a documentary about this. And I did, and it worked out. But I was in the right place at the right time for that one.
Well, you're not kidding about that, because when you started filming, The Last Blockbuster was not The Last Blockbuster, right?
Right. When I started, now it's in the news. Everybody knows, oh, Blockbuster, there's nostalgia and everything like that. But, oh my God, 6 years ago when I started filming that, nobody cared. And it wasn't the last one. It was one of 12. And my original plan was to go to all 12 and document what kind of town still has a Blockbuster video in 2017, right? But what happened was we would call those stores and say, hey, I want to come to your Blockbuster video in Texas or Alaska and film there. And they'd say, oh no, you're too late. And they just kept dropping like flies. But we never thought the one in Bend, Oregon would be the last one. Nobody thought that.
And what's interesting is, since you profiled it in film, and again, right place, right time, you just happened to be filming and it ended up being the last one. I'm sure you stay in contact with them. How much has your film and the notoriety being the last one helped them out business-wise?
It's crazy how busy that store is now. When the movie came out December of 2020, small release. It came out on Amazon and on VHS, and on DVD at the store, right? You could rent it at the store. And they were like, oh, this is neat, and I'm in a movie. And then 4 months later, it came out on Netflix, and everything changed. It was very popular. It was in the top 10 for a while. It's still in the popular section. And even though it was a pandemic, people just started coming to the store from all over. And they would do that before when they would find out about it. But now it's like they have been slammed since the movie, March of last year. So over a year, they've been so busy because of the movie. And poor Sandy, if you've seen the movie, you know, she knits hats. And she has a backlog of something like 1,000 orders, and she can't knit these hats. This poor woman, this movie came out, and all of a sudden, everybody's buying the hat. And we warned her. We said, when this comes out, be ready to knit these hats. But I think she's made thousands in the past year.
Taylor, you have a question up front?
Two
Okay.
questions.
Is my
You
phone right
got
there?
it.
What made you decide?
Talking to the mic, please.
What made you decide to go to make the movie about the blockbusters? I don't know if you asked that already.
You kind of. When I first went into the store, I couldn't believe it. It was like going through a time warp and seeing that nothing had changed. It was like no one told them that Blockbuster was closed, and they just kept right on going. And I just thought, I had so many questions. I'm like, how are they staying in business? Who is shopping here? Who's renting a DVD in 2017? And my curiosity got the better of me, and I asked the manager, would it be okay if I started bringing cameras and filming here? I don't know if it's a documentary or what. I'm so interested. And that's most of what documentary filmmaking is if I want to know, then I think other people want to know. And so I just try to find the answers.
And do you live in Bend? I don't know if you want to
I
answer
did
that.
live in Bend at that time, but I moved to Eugene last year.
Okay. The other month ago, I was up in Bend for something else, and I drove by. Like, wow, there it is. There's the Blockbuster.
It's a landmark. Now Bend has added it to all their city tours, and it's a real landmark.
There are people who actually make pilgrimages to the last Blockbuster
Yes,
that
sir.
travel internationally, or I've known people that go to, say, Portland or Seattle for a conference or a Comic Con, and then they're like, while I'm in Oregon, I have to drive, and they don't realize it's like an 8-hour drive.
Yeah, they never realize. People tell me that, oh, I'm going to be in Portland. I'll just pop by Blockbuster. I'm like, all right, good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What's extraordinary about your films, particularly Pick It Up Ska and The Last Blockbuster, are the amount of people that appear in those films. In the ska movie, you have almost every single ska band I could possibly name appears in it. And The Last Blockbuster is filled with some great stand-up comics. You've got Lauren Lapkus, you've got Doug Benson, Ron Funches, who's one of my all-time favorites. How do you get all those people into your film?
Well, it's all different. Some of it is through proper channels. You go through the agent and the manager, and you say, do you want to be in my documentary? And they say, what does it pay? And we say nothing, and they pass. Some of them, like Ron Funches, I DM'd him on Instagram and was like, you're from Oregon, be in this movie. And he was like, it's about Blockbuster? Okay. Most of the people in the movie worked at video stores. And what's cool, and same thing is true with ska, but if you ask somebody to be in a documentary about something they love and they have strong feelings about, most people say yes. And they're like, that sounds fun, right? So I asked Kevin Smith to talk about movies. Kevin Smith loves talking about movies. It's his whole career.
If you ever watch a Q&A of him, you get like one question in, and 4 hours later, he's still answering that question.
That also happens in the interviews.
You have a question up front.
two, but I think you
Yeah.
answered the first one.
Okay.
I was going to ask you if Kevin Smith was in the Blockbuster movie. I saw him in the previews. Kevin Smith.
Yeah,
He's in the documentary,
he's in the documentary. Yeah,
and that's on Netflix.
it is on
I have to
Netflix.
watch it.
You should watch it. Yeah,
So,
Available over there at the Pop Motion Pictures booth.
yeah.
and then the ska one. You said it was on Amazon. Is that Amazon Prime?
It is not. It's for rent on Amazon. It's free on, I want to say Tubi.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. I don't know. Sorry. But they're both available on DVD and Blu-ray at the booth. I got posters. I got trading cards. I got postcards from the last Blockbuster. I got a
If you-
1988 Donatello with all of his accessories. Come on.
If you want to support independent filmmaking, please go pick up a Blu-ray or DVD. You're supporting the next films in addition.
Sure. Or pirate it. I really don't care. Watch it on Netflix. Get our numbers up. Do what you want.
One more question.
Yeah.
So for about the ska music, I used to listen to about late 90s and the early 2000s. And then I feel like it kind of faded away. Like people stopped making that kind of music.
Yeah.
Is it still a big thing today?
It is. It is. There are a lot of great ska bands right now. There's a big one called The Interrupters.
I love the Interrupters.
I think I've heard of them.
Yeah, they're doing great. They're on these huge tours. They just opened for Weezer, Green Day, and Fall Out Boy on that tour. And they're like a ska band. They don't have horns, but they're real like ska, like Rancid used to play. And there's a lot of like Orange County is blowing up again. So there's bands, starting out there, or bands that have been around for about 10 years.
Was the Insiders a ska band? Was
Insiders,
it the
yeah.
Insiders?
Yeah.
Because I think that's what I listened to.
Nice.
There's a bunch of new ska bands that have started to emerge. The one that I really like, aside from the Interrupters, Bite Me Bambi.
I love Bite Me Bambi.
Bite Me Bambi is a fantastic band. They remind me a lot of Save Ferris. So if you remember them from the 90s.
It's two of the same guys
Yep.
from Save Ferris.
Yeah. Bite Me Bambi.
The first week we were filming the ska documentary, and this is before that band formed. The trombone player and the singer lived together. We slept on their couch to make our movie, and that's what the ska scene is, right?
Right.
And they weren't even a band yet.
So the Interrupters, by the way, are going to be performing in Eugene and in Bend in September. They're touring with Flogging Molly, Tiger Army, and a British band that I love that people also need to check out called The Skints.
They're great.
The Skints are amazing. More kind of a reggae roots rock vibe, but they fit in great. They're so good.
They're so good.
Oh, so what? Since you said that ska's having a revival now, and maybe your film played a little part in that, what are some of the bands that people should check out?
Right now, bands that are playing. The Interrupters are great. Bite Me Bambi. There's a band out of DC called Kill Lincoln. They're fantastic. We Are the Union is a really cool band. They were just in Rolling Stone. They're part of that revival. And there's a lot of bands that are still playing from the 90s that are putting out some of their best music now, which is crazy. Yeah.
It's okay. So, Taylor, let's talk a little bit about your next project. So you've done a ska movie, you've done some shorts, you did this really cool Back to the Future project that we can talk about as well. You did The Last Blockbuster, and now you're working on what?
I'm in the middle of making a documentary about Build-A-Bear Workshop. And your response to laugh is correct. Yeah. It's the same kind of thing. They're still going. They're doing great. And I'm so confused. Like, how did Toys R Us and KB Toys fail and go, the way of the dodo? and Build-A-Bear Workshop
Right.
is thriving.
Yeah.
So I find that fascinating. And I mean, plus they make Star Wars stuff and Harry Potter stuff and Sonic the Hedgehog stuff. So I'm in, you know.
Right, right. I am really curious to see your film where hopefully you can explain to us why someone would want to build their own stuffed animal when there's so many that have already been prepared for you.
Yeah, that's the premise, right? But it's really cool. I'm finding out that people love building these bears. Kids love it because they get to pick it out, they get to name it, dress it, and do all this stuff. And kids usually don't get to allow to make a decisions. You know, they get told you have to wear this and you have to go to school and blah, blah, blah. It sucks to be a kid. So for like 15 minutes, you get to build your own teddy bear, and that's pretty cool. And I don't want to make a commercial, so let's cut to something else.
Well, and on that note, right now, if anyone is interested in building their own puppet, head that way into the Wellness Center in the gym. We have a professional puppeteer who is leading a puppetry workshop. So if that sounds cool to you, you got kids that want to try to building a puppet, head down that hall.
There's puppets in the last Blockbuster. We had a puppet that was Netflix and a puppet that was Blockbuster. It was really great. There's some great puppeteers in this state, more than you would think. There's a lot of them. It's very cool.
So as an independent filmmaker, you have to go out and sell your film. Do you get to go to a lot of events like this? I know you haven't lately because of the whole COVID thing, but when we're not in a pandemic, are you actively on the road taking your film around the country, or how does that work?
With the Ska movie, I got to go on tour with it because it was in 2019. I haven't been able to do that as much with the last Blockbuster. This is the first event I've really been to. I love Comic Cons. I would be dressed up if I wasn't. I thought it would be weird if I was in a full Ninja Turtle cosplay answering questions about Blockbuster. So I didn't, but I would be. I am one of you. So I'm stoked. And you said, oh, you can have a table. I have like 2 DVDs, but I'm like, oh, okay, I'll make a table. I would love that. I love Comic-Con. So I haven't done it with movies before, but I would love to if we don't all get COVID from this.
Yeah. So Taylor is a filmmaker. I'm also a filmmaker for KCC. Advice for people who may have always had an interest in maybe making a film, but not sure how to start.
Well, I didn't go to film school. I learned most of what I do from YouTube and Google. And you all have the same YouTube and Google that I have. So just make stuff. I mean, the cameras in your phone are so much better than the VHS camera that I started with. But I was making stuff and it was hard, you know? So it's easier now. But what that means is you got to be better at it, right? And your first 10 things are gonna suck. But the 11th one could be awesome. So make 10 things. That's my advice.
The first time I tried to edit was in middle school in my dad's classroom. He got a grant for a film lab, and it was stacks of VCRs with dials to go frame by frame. Do you ever work with one of those machines?
We didn't have that. We had off the shelf, like Walmart. You know, one of them was a top loader. The other one had a remote. And it was like the pause would do that really shaky. So my edits would all start with a shaky frame. It was really bad. And then my senior year of high school, I was the entire AV club. I went to high school in rural Oregon. They got one copy of Premiere 1.0. This was 1998. And so I got to edit one thing on a computer. But to get it out of the computer, you put it back in the VCR. So it was wild.
Does anyone have questions for Taylor? We are just we're wrapping up. Independent filmmaker. Hey there. Hello. Do you have a question or just waving hi?
Just waving.
Just waving. Hi. So Taylor,
good.
that's one of our students from last year's film camp that we teach every year through Klamath Film.
Oh, hello.
Hey.
What's up?
Doing well. How about you?
Good.
So my question for you would be, say if you are like a one-man show and you're just now getting started with, a big project.
Yeah.
How would you be able to find the right people to help you out, to help you along the way, as far as like casting, crew, so that you're not the one who's doing all the work and whatnot?
So that's a great question. How do you find cast and crew when you're just starting out?
Yes.
Especially, I'm guessing, I don't know you, but you don't have like $1 million budget. So it's hard. And I use Facebook groups, right? In Eugene, there's a film group and an actor group. Local theater, right? College theater, like actors want to act. Not always in film, which is strange, but it's hard to find people. You just ask around and be willing to help other people, right? So if you go, every time you hear somebody's making something, go help them. And then you'll see, oh, that person's good, and I like that person, and they'll come help you. And I think that's the best way, is to just put it out there. And also, if you want to make a project, say you're making it, people will come. Don't say, I want to, I'm thinking about it. Say, you know what? On July 5th, we're making a movie. People will come.
Also, becoming friends with the high school drama teachers and the high school AV club advisors is a great way to get an in with people who will be willing to work on a project.
I like that. That really works. I like that.
Cool. Any other questions?
Well, no, that would be all. Thank you.
You got it.
So we're just about done with time, but let's talk a little bit about what you did with Back to the Future. We'll wrap up with that.
You're very welcome. So early in the pandemic, I was stuck at home, and so were a lot of other filmmakers. And we all, through the power of the internet, we got together and we made a shot-for-shot remake of Back to the Future 2, using just whatever we had around the house. And that's up on YouTube. You can find it. It's bananas, literally. It's literally bananas. But there's some great actors, and we even got some of the actors who were in Back to the Future to be in our nonsense project. And you're in it, right?
I am not in it.
I forget which of my friends failed at the assignment.
But I've been one of the big, great purveyors of it, telling people all about it, that they need to check it out.
Check it out.
Well, Taylor, thank you so much for making the trek from Eugene down to Klamath to come hang out with us again. Thank you for all of your films. We showed Pick It Up Ska last night at Retro Room Records, and people can check out The Last Blockbuster on Netflix. And any idea on timeline for when we can see your next project?
I'm hoping the end of this year, but we'll see. Yeah, follow me on social media and then you'll know. And come say hi. I got a booth back there, and I got nothing but time to hang out with you great people.
Terrific. Well, Taylor, thank you so much for being here. And if you want to talk more with Taylor, his Pop Motion Pictures booth is right back over there. We'll be back here at 5 o'clock with filmmaker and professional puppeteer Jesse Blanchard.